Hi guys, this episode is called The Climb, and it is about focusing on what's inside when what outside doesn't align, when the things that we see outside aren't what we want them to be, when things start to get confusing, when depression, anxiety start to kick in, like we're 16 again. Yeah, so that's what this video is about. And to start it, I'm going to speak to you guys about my own experience, really, and use a metaphor for you guys to help. So pretty much, when you start your journey, when you start your path to enlightenment in your journey, you're gonna realize that you're gonna have to climb all of these mountains. And no, there's not just one, there is several. And myself recently, this last mountain I made it to the top of, when I got there, it was such a beautiful place. It was probably the most beautiful mountain I've experienced yet. It showed me love. It showed me how to let go of my fears. It showed me how to let go of my doubts, which was such a beautiful and progressive thing for me to experience. And I remember just sitting in that place for a few weeks and it still feeling so good. It felt so empowering. And then one day I started feeling this pull and I started hearing this call, and I'm like, what is that? And I realized that I fell asleep for a little bit because I got too comfortable with this good feeling state that I was in, right? So I decided to look around. And as I stood at the top of this mountain and I was looking around, it was like all I could see were clouds. I couldn't see anything else. Like there wasn't even the sun in the sky. It was just clouds, just all clouds. It's all I could see. And at first, it felt so intense. It felt like this intense feeling come over me. I'm like, why can't I see anything? Where did everything go? Like when I got to the top of the mountain, like I could see the sun and I could see birds flying and I could see down below and I could see all around and I understood everything, and where I was where I was, and it was all good. So now I'm feeling anxious because all I can see are clouds. All that's around me is clouds, right? So I realized that I just had to keep looking. I had to keep looking because I kept feeling this pull. I kept hearing this call. And so as I'm looking and I start to sort through these clouds, right? As I start to push them to the side and realize, oh, well, you're not real. You're just in my way. You're just in my way. And I push them away and I push them away. And what appeared in front of me was another mountain. And this mountain was taller. This mountain was bigger. This mountain was even more beautiful, but it was scary because of its magnitude and how dense it was, right? But I could see it. I could hear it calling me. I could feel it. So I knew it was for me. So I had to let go of all the fear automatically. I knew I had to, because I just learned at the top of this mountain about fear and love and doubt, right? So I wasn't going to go backwards. I was not going to go back. All I could do was go forward at this point. So I knew that immediately to figure out what I needed to do next at this point was to let go of all fear. Let go of control, of wanting and not wanting things to happen, and just having faith that I was going to get to this next mountain. And I knew this because I was at the top of this mountain. And I've already been on top of 100 mountains before. They may not have been as big. A lot of them until this point were just hills. And they started off as like little sand dunes, right? So I went from sand dunes to hills, and now I'm on top of these freaking mountains, and I'm peering at bigger ones, right? So I'm standing up there, and I start to realize, well, to get to that mountain, I have to walk down this one first. And so I did it. I started walking down. And as I began to walk down, at first it was good. It was fine. It was, I had faith in it. I wasn't really stressing it too much. Like it was just the walk. It was what it was, right? It is what it is. and then it got heavy. My bag got heavy from the stuff that I picked up on the way from the last mountain, from the stuff that I picked up from sitting on top of that mountain, from the stuff that I'm picking up walking down this mountain. It just got to a point where I was like, I need to let some stuff go because this is too heavy. So I start going through my backpack, what I need and what I don't need, what things are just way too heavy on me right now, things that I just know aren't for me anymore. I started to let them go. I started to let these safety nets go. You know, these things that may have helped me climb up the last mountain, and things that may even kept me rooted on top of the last mountain. There was so many things that I had to let go of, you know. And as I was letting them go, and I was almost to the bottom of the hill, I had this feeling of, should I have let it go? Should I have stopped doing that? Like, did I make the right decision? Like, did I act too soon? And then I had to tell myself, I had to pull myself back out of that thought of fear again and tell myself, yes. Because every time you let go of things that you don't need, you make room for things that you do need to come in, right? The universe doesn't have to teach you lessons when you let things go, because you're already making the room for it to come in, right? If it wants to come in, it's going to make all of this noise until you realize what it's making you let go of so it can fit in, right? So if you guys are at this point, any of you, if you're having these thoughts, yes. If you let something go and you let them go for the right reasons, and you're not like lying to yourself about why you should be letting them go, then you let it go for the right reasons. So let it go. Because like I said before, you can't go back. You can't. And if you do, you make what's being created fade. Because this universe is a jealous universe. And once you commit to it, if you turn your back on it, it's going to go somewhere else. It's just going to leave. And next I found myself at the bottom of this hill, and I reflected when I got to the bottom, because this time when I got to the bottom, it wasn't the same place. Usually before, when I got to the bottom from my walks down, I always found myself back in the trenches, you know, back in a war, back in a battle, back in a fight before I could even walk up the next hill again. But this time, what I found was that I walked to the bottom and I got to a valley. I got to a valley where water was flowing and trees were so beautiful and big, and the flowers were bright, and the creatures and the animals around were all lively and active and weren't scared of me. Everything was just at one. In this place that I found, instead of me having to go to war, it wanted me to rest. It wanted me to rest and to focus on all the lessons I've been taught so far. And I realized in this valley that this hill that I'm about to walk up is about to be my most important one yet. It's going to be my biggest one yet. And then I realized that every hill that I get to walk up after this hill will be my most important one yet. But for right now, this is the most important one yet. And this is the one that I need to focus on. I can't focus on the hills that are coming next, and the one after that, and the one after that, because I haven't even started walking up this one yet. And as I continue to sit down in that valley and spend time, I just watched for signs. I watched for signs to help me understand that, yes, I have shifted. Yes, I am about to receive something beautiful. Yes, I am on the right path, you know. And then when my mind became quiet again and my thoughts became light, I realized that it was time to walk up again. And this is a beautiful time for you guys all to be heading up your new mountains. You know, you can't stay in your cocoon for too long. You have to fly. So this new moon is a great time. It's a great time for you guys to start up those mountains. And I'm just gonna go through 5 things that will more explain what you're going to experience on your climb down and your climb up in that middle phase. I'm going to talk about some things that will explain how to reflect and how to see the signs before the storm comes. Because if you can see the signs before the storm comes, the storm doesn't come. It's like you stay inside, you miss it. It doesn't happen if you can read it. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is contemplating role and purpose. I know for a fact, especially again during this new moon, that a lot of you guys are having these feelings of who you are, the role you play, what you will be, your purpose. And when we go on these journeys, we sometimes make choices that, like I said before, like letting go of safety nets. Like, that's a huge thing, and it's one of the hardest things to do and accomplish on your journey without going backwards. And that's why the path to enlightenment and these journeys take so long, because a lot of times you can let something go, but you can't let it go right away. You are going to go back 1, 2, 3, 4, however many times you have to. You will go back until your conscious becomes strong enough to continue forward always, right? Until you can excel into that 5th dimension and then into the 9th dimension. And that is also, I have a whole lesson about that in my video, the 5th dimension, that will be attached to this video at the end, and the link will be posted below. But you have to understand that even though you're headed down a road or you're headed on a route, different roads can pop up. And it doesn't mean that you're going in the wrong direction anymore. It just means that you have to go through something, you have to experience something so that you can let go of the things that are keeping you from reaching your highest potential. Like I talked about before, the universe screaming until you hear, so you push it out so it can come in, right? When you reflect, you can see something you've chosen isn't for you, or you can see that it is for you. And you can do this by reflecting not only on now, but situations that seem to be reoccurring in your life. Focus on the way you've acted and the decisions you've made in them, and look at the patterns and cut them out. You can also understand if a choice that you made was for you or not for you by what your mind is telling you, in a sense. If you make a decision and you know it's wrong, but you try to convince yourself that it was right because you don't want to be a bad person, I'm telling you that choice was probably not for you, and it was probably not in alignment with your higher self. When you speak your truth, it resides with you. When you keep your throat chakra clear, your truth resides with you. It's so important. It's so important. And you don't want to be the one telling yourself lies. Because if you accept yourself telling you lies, people are going to have no problem telling you lies. Speak truth to yourself. Speak truth to this universe. It's probably like one of the most important and overlooked things that you can practice in this world. Number 2 is shattering your glass ceiling. Well, what is your glass ceiling? Your glass ceiling has been made over the years by trauma, fear, and doubt. It is really crazy, and you'll start to realize that every time you reach the top of a mountain, you'll see your glass ceiling, and it's usually the thing that makes you turn around and go backwards instead of going forwards. You get to the top of the mountain and you look up and you're like, no, that seems too big for me, or that doesn't seem like I can have that, even though it's for you, even though you can have it, right? So you have to start chipping away at this ceiling. You have to start taking the doubt and the fear away. So, how did I do that? For example, when I was standing on top of my last mountain and all I could see was clouds, and I felt so overwhelmed because I didn't like that I couldn't see anything else. I didn't like, I changed my perception, I changed my view, and everything cleared up. every time you make it to the top of your mountain, you're breaking away at that glass ceiling. You're breaking away. And at some point, when you reach the height of it all, you'll break through it. It's not a thing that's never going to go away. You are going to break through it. But it has to do with your consistency. Consistency creates credibility. It has to do with your persistence, your faith, your love for what you're doing and where you're going, right? So you have to ask yourself, are you at your ceiling? Have you been at your ceiling and overlooked it? Do you give your ceiling more power every time you reach a peak? You have to ask yourself these things, right? Number 3, collective conscious. It's easy to get off track because of things that happen in life. It's easy to lose faith because watching things that are happening around you. But understand this, the universe always keeps itself at an equilibrium, right? And it wants as much positivity as it can get. So every time you do positive things, every time you think positive things, positivity is going into the collective conscious. So if you look at it in that way, that probably means that this world is getting better. It is getting better. There is more peace, there is more love. And how do you know this? Because there's more natural disasters happening. There are more fatal accidents happening that shouldn't be happening. You know, I just watched one of my high school friends be buried about a week ago, and I remember hearing it happen in a motorcycle accident, and I couldn't understand. I could not understand. And then I came to this realization that, you know, bad things happen like that so the collective source can release negative energies. And if you notice, every time something tragic happens, you know, even the shooting at Ariana Grande's concert or whatever, it brings people together. Like somehow, like no matter anybody's differences, like in that time, that loss brings such togetherness. And it's putting such positivity back into the source. And it's easy to lose faith because of those things, but if you look at it in that way, if you change your perspective on anything, if you change your view, if you change your position of where you're standing, things will always look different. You can take a 6 and a 9, and depending on where you're standing at it from, it's going to be a 6 or a 9. You know, it's perspective. That's why perspective is beautiful. Number 4, going down the hill. And I talked about a little bit on this in my introduction to the video, but when you're going down your hill, it's at first, like I said, it's always usually good because you're like, okay, well, I know where I'm going to that hill over there, all cool, all fine and dandy, right? But you start going down this hill and you start running into weather, and you run into barriers, and you get cuts, and you fall down, and it gets heavy, and it gets scary. You may see something scary, and then the fear, the uncertainty, and the doubt start to roll right back in, and you can either let your mind go on that, or you can stay firm and believe in what you know is coming. When the uncertainty and fear and doubt come in, you can give that power and make that your life, or you can again shift your perception and look at it in a different way and realize that all these crazy things have been happening because they're trying to elevate your conscious so that when you get to the bottom of the hill, you can sort through what you do and don't need. You can learn your lesson, so when you go up the next hill, those things aren't weighing you down as you're walking up your next hill. You can shift it and realize that the walk down is gonna be uncertain because you're getting away from your higher self. You know, you feel so far away, but you can know that, okay, well, once I get to the bottom of this hill, I can rest for a second, and then I can go back up, and then I'll be back where I need to be, right? Always having faith of what's inside, creating the world you live. That is also a video with a huge lesson that I have that will be attached to this video at the end and a link below. But if you don't like what's outside here, always go within. Because every time you go within, you create from that place. You know what is coming in that place, and you're giving power to only what you know is coming, instead of what is in front of you right now in this situation. You have to have faith in what's coming, and what you've already seen, and what you know is there. Because you saw it. You're at the top of that mountain, and you saw it, and it may get out of view for a little bit as you walk down, but guess what? As soon as you start walking back up, you're gonna get, oh, there it is. And every day you get closer and closer to being at the top, right? It's beautiful. It's really beautiful. Those fears and those doubts and the uncertainty when you're walking down, man, those are just growing pains. They're growing pains, and you're gonna have to learn to grow through them. Because every time you choose to believe in yourself and what you see, you're taking power away from duality, away from everything you don't want. So now it's like you're actually praying and receiving. You're actually praying for what you want, and you're receiving it, instead of praying for what you don't want and receiving everything you don't want. Right? Key to manifestation right there. One more thing for this going down. Understand that every battle that you face on your way down, if you face them and don't let them build up, one, you won't have to go to war once you get to down there. You're not going to go to the trenches. You're going to find your valley, a place to rest instead of a place of war. So make sure you're taking care of the situations as they come while you're walking down, because you know what it's doing. It's helping you evolve. Every time you stand up in a situation you thought would kill you, you've made yourself that much stronger. You've survived something that you thought you never could. You're elevating your conscious, you're elevating your abilities, you're elevating your dedication. Remember, consistency creates credibility. And at this point, when you're walking down the hill, you can either sit in yourself and give up because the fear and the uncertainty and the doubt gets too heavy, or you can keep going. I say this so much that the path to fear or the path to failure and success look just about the same, because this is the breaking point. It's always on the walk down, and then especially when you get to the bottom, it's always when people give up and they throw in the towel. Some people don't go back to it, and you know, some people end their lives because of it. And then there's some people that keep going because they realize that I chose this. I'm not giving up because I chose this. I want this. I don't care what gets thrown my way. I want this. I'm going after this. I asked for all of this, and I deserve all of this. And no matter what comes to teach me what I need to be taught, I know I'm worthy of every single thing that I want and desire and see. I believe in my garden. Again, that lesson is on creating the world you live. And number 5 is so important. It's exchanging your safety nets for seeds. Look for your seeds, guys. You have to look for your seeds. Every time you let go of a safety net, you're exchanging it for a seed. You're exchanging it for something better. And just like I say in all my other lessons, you can't expect to plant your seed, walk out the next day, and see a tree. You have to water it. You have to take care of the soil. You have to tend to it. You have to take care of your garden, you know, and then in that, you believe in your seeds. You understand that your seed will be everything it's supposed to be. A seed of a tree will never turn out to be a strawberry. It will always be a tree. It knows what it's going to be. So you need to know what your seeds are, what they do, and what they will be. And then you need to feed them and nourish them and take care of them. Another thing you guys can think of is, if any of you guys are hikers or if any of you guys spend a lot of time in the woods, look around and notice how branches and vines will wrap onto other trees and branches and vines to make it to the top, right? They don't stop because the sunlight gets dim. No, they know, okay, the sun's up there, I need to get up there, I'm gonna get up there whatever way possible, even if I need help. You guys need to ask for help sometimes. That's also a huge thing. Everything needs help. Even these trees, even these branches, even the grass, but everything needs help. Everything needs help. It's okay. you gotta be humble. You gotta let go of that ego, you know. You have to love yourself to accept what you need always. You know, even if it means that you have to accept things that you've never accepted before. You have to do that. And okay, last thing. Realize that you deserve everything that's coming to you, guys. And believe it and have faith in it. You have to go in the direction of your happiness. You have to go in the direction of everything that moves you, because every time you do that, you're following your higher conscious, you're following your angels, you're following your spirit guides, you're following your truth. Love yourself, guys. Do the work. What is my next video? It will be the stumble that will be releasing tomorrow. Again, the link of creating the world you live and self-love will be, and the fifth dimension will all have links down below, and the fifth dimension and creating the world you live will be linked to the end of this video. I thank you guys for all watching. Guys, know you are good enough, know you're worthy enough, know you're badass enough, and you can take on anything, and know you're not alone. If you guys have any questions, if you need to see any videos in particular, just message me. I will get it out as soon as I can. I hope to see the change, guys, and I know you can be a part of it.